welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have another pen for review. I have added this to my collection, and as you can see here, this is a Pineider pen. And Pineider have been around since 1774. And they have been primarily making paper. They have made some pens, and more recently, since Dante Del Vecchio departed Visconti, he was the co-founder and CEO of Visconti. He moved to Pineider, and he started to come out with a range of pens for Pineider. And the first one was the Avatar, which I don't have in my collection. That has a steel nib. Then it came out with a Grande Bellezza, and then a revised version of the La Grande Bellezza. And this is a revised version. So let me show you here. It comes in this very sort of flimsy paper box here. And I will show you. It just opens out and just collapses on itself, and that's really the outer box. The inner box is this like leatherette type box, and it is a sort of triangular style box, and if I open it up, it's magnetic clasp. You see here it says Pineider, and in here it's like an old style writing desk. So you open this up, and then you have again, another Pineider logo here, but you actually have the pen sitting here on its bed at the top, and then you have a number of papers. So let me see if I can bend that back a bit. We have in here the papers which basically just tell you about the gemstone collection, the twist magnetic lock, also a company profile as well. I'm not going to go into that. An international limited warranty, and then instructions. And the instructions, this is a cartridge converter filler, so it just really just goes into how you would fill a cartridge converter pen. Likewise, if you have the ballpoint pen, and there are a number of different languages there as well that you can see for the fountain pen. So you get that. Let me just put these away. But you get this lovely embossed sort of Pineider logo wallet, and it's a cardboard wallet, but it's actually quite stiff, quite a thick wallet actually. And then the other thing that you do get is this, and this is a load of different envelopes with some cardstock. So you have a cream envelope and card, you have a white one, you have a pink one, you have another white one, but this has a slight silver edging to it, and then you have a blue one with some blue edging to it, and then you have like I'd say it's probably a greyish green version. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So you get six envelopes and 6 cards. So you can actually use these, and these are actually pretty decent envelopes. And this is basically the core of Pineider's business. But I'll put that to one side as well, because what you want to see is this pen. So if I just move the box out of the way, this is the Pineider La Grande Bellezza, and this is a really, really nice pen. This is a pen that I've had my eye on for some time, in a couple of different colours. It's made of resin, it's not made of celluloid, so but it's a lovely, lovely pattern. Now obviously each pattern will be different on every pen, but I think I lucked out here, and I think I got quite a good pattern, especially on the cap here, and even on the body here as well. So this is actually, as I mentioned earlier, it's a cartridge converter pen. Now some people kind of relate this to being similar to a Van Gogh because of the resin, and it's a cartridge converter. But the difference is it has a 14 karat gold nib, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But let's just go through the parts of the pen. So on the cap finial here, you have Pineider engraved. You have this lovely quill clip, and it's supposed to represent an old writing quill with the feathers. The clip itself is very springy and very functional as well. It's something that I have loved the Visconti clips. I know some people say that they're not that functional. I've never had a problem with them, but I don't normally clip my pens into my say shirt pocket or something, and I tend to really keep them in pen pouches or pen cases. But that is quite a functional clip there, quite a spring to it. Now if we move down to the cap band here, you will see it saying Pineider, and this is something that I'm not that enamored with. It basically says the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And I know this is something that we all tend to use when we're looking at fountain pens, and it's the phrase that basically uses every character of the alphabet. But it's one that I try not to use that often. It's just a phrase that I just doesn't do anything for me. So having this engraved on the pen is one thing that actually put me off buying this for quite a while. And maybe it's something that you will like, but for me, having that on there, it just I would rather it just be blank or just say Pineider or Pineider La Grande Bellezza, to be honest. But I can understand why it was put on there. So the pen itself, it actually tapers up to the cap band and then tapers back down again to what would be the normally the blind cap or finial, and this is just blank here. And then if I the other thing to mention is it's a magnetic clasp, so very similar to the Visconti Van Goghs and the Rembrandts. The slight difference is here is that it will rotate a little bit when I push it in. You'll see it there. And it's basically polarized magnets, and they're working in different ways or different polar angles, so that it's basically forcing the pen to twist round. Now, on the earlier versions, that magnet was a lot stronger, and it would also cause the cap to scratch part of the resin, both here at the section and here. But this is the redesigned versions of the La Grande Bellezza, the gemstone versions, and these don't have that. But it does have a downside, and I'll show you that, or a couple of downsides, and I'll show you that in a moment. So this is the quill nib, and if I just show you here, this is a 14 karat gold nib. Now I got this in a medium nib. I've heard they can be quite soft, and you'll see here there's some cutouts or cutout fins on the nib, the side of the nib there, and that helps the nib to flex a little bit. Now I have this inked up at the moment. You can see some sheen there going on the feed. So I have this inked up with Diamine Soft Mint at the moment, and that's quite a dry ink. Now some things that people don't like about this pen is the chrome section. Now I'm not a great fan of chrome sections. I do have quite a lot actually on my Opera Masters, and I don't find them that slippery. I do find this one a little bit slippery. Like when I hold the pen here, I do find my fingers slipping down. But then there's this like concave bit going on, an hourglass going on here, and this stops your fingers really slipping any further. And although I thought this would be very, very uncomfortable, I actually do like that. I am one that will normally get my middle finger here onto the bottom of the ridge and sometimes get close to that feed and end up with an inky middle finger. So I'm kind of glad actually that this is here. I wasn't a fan of it to start with, but I'm becoming more of a fan. So that's one of the things that people don't like about these Pineiders, at least from what I've heard. The other thing also is if you post the cap, if you are a cap poster, to try and fix the issue of the scratching the body, they've actually made the cap opening a little bit wider. So what tends to happen, and this is magnetic onto the back of the body here. You can see that, and it clicks on. But the problem is, it rotates and it kind of wobbles. So if you are a poster, what you will find is you will start out with the clip here, and then gradually, as you're writing, it will rotate round. Now, for people that post their caps, that could easily be a downside to this pen. I didn't think I would need to post this pen. And I've been writing with this for a week now, and I've actually found, although it's comfortable, I find I'm getting hand cramp more with this pen than any other pen. But if I do post the cap, I don't have a problem. Now the strange thing is the cap really isn't doing much for me, as you can see here. But I think it's just where the pen tapers down here a little bit. It helps put more weight down onto the crevice here between my thumb and index finger, and it just helps the hand fatigue a little bit more. So this is going to be interesting to try over time and see. Now, here is the cartridge converter, just a standard cartridge converter, and it's engraved with black writing, and it just says Pineider here. Just a standard cartridge converter. So it holds around 0.7 milliliters of ink. But it's this colour that I really like, and you can see here that the pen looks absolutely stunning. This is really like an oil painting, and I have this on similar pens like my Visconti Van Goghs I have, and I really do like the way that the oil painting like effect goes around the body, and you can see that there in the cap, and then the actual body here. It's a little bit less pronounced on this version, but you can see it here. It's very much like brush strokes in a very thick oil painting. And it really is a stunning looking pen. So this was a pen that I decided I had to pick up. Now, these retail for quite a lot of money, but I managed to pick up a really good deal. Chatterley had a flash sale going, and the pen was at least half price. So I decided it was time to get one, and I got these for a really, really good discount. So much so it was actually really not much more than a Visconti Van Gogh. So this pen really, really is a nice looking pen, and I wanted to add, especially the Malachite. This is the Malachite version to my collection, and I wanted to try out this 14K nib, this quill nib that a lot of people have been raving about. Some more than others, but this for me, like with the nib cutouts, to help try and make it flex more in those really long tines, I wanted to give it a try. And a few friends that I have these Pineiders, and I wanted to give it a try. So I'm glad I did, because this pen really is absolutely stunning. And I think what we'll do next, we'll do a size check, weight check, and then we'll do a comparison, and then a writing sample. So the pen itself, fully capped, is about 140 millimeters long. The cap is 65 millimeters long, which is actually quite long for a pen, or for a cap, I should say. And then, oh, you can see the magnet there trying to get attracted. So the magnet, let's behave. So it's around about 125 millimeters from the tip of the tines to the end of the body there. Now, let's do a weight check as well. So the full weight of the pen, fully inked up, we're looking at just under 40 grams. And then the cap, we're looking at just under 15.5 grams. And then the body, fully inked, we're looking at just a smidgen over 24 grams. So it's not a bad weight pen. It's actually quite a good weight pen, but it is really, really nice. So I think now what we'll do is we will go and do a pen comparison. So left to right, we have a TWSBI Diamond 580 AL. We have a Pelikan M800 Royal Gold Raden, a Pelikan M1000, a Visconti Opera Silver Dust, a Visconti Van Gogh, and in the Pollard Willows, the Pineider La Grande Bellezza, the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Swirl, the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog, the Visconti Opera Master, and this is the Lunar Goulet edition, and an Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extra, and this is the Arco Verde. And you can see here, really, in terms of size, it's around the same size as a Pelikan M800 or a Visconti Van Gogh. It's more closer to a Van Gogh than anything, just a slightly wider pen, I would say. But very similar in terms of design there. You can see the cap band and that. So let's do a writing sample. This is the Pineider La Grande, and this is the Bellezza, and it's a 14 carat nib, and it's a medium nib. Now, in terms of line variation, it's a 14 karat gold nib, so you don't want to push this nib too hard. But I'll show you the standard line variation, and it really is coming out more like a medium nib. You can see there. Now, if I try to push it a little bit more, you can push it more, and you will get more of a line variation out of it. So if I do this, you can kind of see the nib flex more there. So you can get line variation out of this 14 karat nib. It is a little bit bouncy, a little bit springy, not as bouncy as my most bounciest palladium nibs. It actually sort of feels more like a gold nib, and it is a gold nib. It's a 14 karat gold nib, but it feels more like a more flexible gold nib. And some gold nibs can be as stiff as nails. So for this, I'm finding it really good. Now the ink I'm using in here is Diamine, and it's soft mint. Now this is a fairly dry ink. It's not a super wet ink, I find. So let's do the ink test. You can see here that it really isn't that wet. Now I have had Diamine Sherwood Green in here prior to this, and that was a little bit wetter. So this for me is actually more of a drier nib, but it is a medium nib. So it's not a super wet, but you can see here when you push the nib. So if I write mint here and then mint here with flex, you can see the difference. So there is quite a difference that can be had if you flex this nib more. And I find this is a really nice writing experience. The nib is very smooth. I'm actually quite impressed with this nib. It's not a gusher though, and it probably could be made to write wetter. Certainly having another ink in there will make it write wetter. But for me, it's a good performer. Is it worth the MSRP price that was being asked for it? Possibly not. I wouldn't pay that price for it, to be honest. Is it worth the sale price? Definitely. I do like the pen. I do like it a lot. And I think as much as I would love to use my my Visconti Van Goghs, because I like the material on it, they are steel nibs, and they're not the best steel nibs in the world. I have a lot of other Jovo steel nibs that write so much better. So for me, this material actually not only works well, but the pen writes extremely well. So I do like this pen. Is it one of my best pens? Probably not. But it is a good all-round writer. I think it will be a good workhorse pen, and it will be a pen that I actually use a lot more throughout the days writing with it, because of the magnetic clip. It's so quick to uncap it. I think the more I use the pen, probably my hand fatigue will reduce. It's just getting used to the pen, and maybe it will just take a little bit longer for me to get used to how it feels in my hand. But other than that, I really do like the pen. It's a good pen. I will be very interested to see what other new pens that Dante will be coming out with at Pineider over the course of the next year. And I think we could be onto some good pens coming from Pineider. So that's the review of the Pineider La Grande Bellezza in the Malachite. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.